So an overview of editing. Editing takes place obviously within the edit window down here on our playlist section of the edit window. And so before we can really start to edit, there's two sections of this window that we need to talk about. That's our modes and our tools. So the tools are just to the left of the counter, and we have a trim tool and a region tool and a grabber tool. We can use all three of these together by clicking just above them, and they call that the Smart tool. And we'll talk about that in greater detail in just a second. So let's start first with the trim tool. As we come down with the trim tool into the edit window, as we're close to the extreme left-hand side of a clip, as we click and drag that in, that will cut off everything before this bracket. As we go to the other side of the file, it's smart, and once you get past the halfway point, it flips itself around, and just clicking and dragging will trim back the tail of the clip. Alternatively, the region tool allows us to select a section within an audio file. So we can select our in point and our out point, and then delete that or do whatever it is that we want to do with that. Or we could click at the beginning and shift click to the end, and that will also select that region that we can get rid of or copy or do whatever it is that we want to do. Once we've separated a region, we might want to move it around. So we would use our grabber tool for that, which is the one that looks like a little hand, and then we can click and grab, and we can move an audio file around and reorder clips like we want them in the timeline after that. All of our edits are non-destructive, so if I chop off the beginning of something, I can always bring it back after the fact. Something you should be aware of is over in your clips section of the edit window, every time we make an edit, it creates that region, it adds that region to our clips. So our parent file are the bold files. Every time we chopped it or made a split and made a smaller subsection of that, it creates another region that's added over here into the clips. We can tell what they are because once I highlight one here, it also highlights it there. So it's a way of us kind of finding our way around. If you have a very involved project that gets very cluttered over here, you can actually choose to select unused, and that will highlight the regions that have been created but not used. And then you can actually choose to clear those and remove them from the project, which helps to keep your house in order, keep things a little bit clean. All right. The other thing that you need to be aware of, in addition to the tools, is the modes. So the most common mode to work within would be the slip mode, and that's where basically wherever you drag something, you leave it. If you drag it over the top of something else, it'll go over the top of something else. And so it's just basically a big scratch pad, and you can just move things around wherever you'd like them. Alternatively, the shuffle mode is when you take something, as I drag it over, it's going to butt itself up against the next clip. And again, this one will butt itself up against the next clip. So it's like a deck of cards that shuffle themselves together. If I were to delete this clip from the middle, what happens is the clip after will shuffle down and butt itself up against the clip previous. Basically, for advanced and beginning audio, you're really only going to be using shuffle and slip. Spot is more appropriate when you are using a video, when you're editing to video, and you might get a decision list that says something like, hey, this car explosion, the explosion sound effect needs to happen at 1 hour, 22 seconds, 15 frames. That's where we want the explosion to start. Okay, so then you would be able to spot to that exact time code. Grid is more used when we are doing things for music and we want things to fall to bars and beats. So as I shuffle things around, I don't want to knock them out of time. I want them to be strictly adhering to quarter notes or eighth notes or 16th notes within my musical bar. So then I would use the grid. But for most of the projects here at William Paterson, you're going to be using either shuffle or slip mode.